Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 2. So, today, we are going to be building a car. Yes, building one. I'm not sure if it really be classified as a car, but it will move and steer and drive. So, before we get started with that though, you're going to be using this a lot when you first start. You can spawn in tons of props, whatever you want, like let's say a bunch of that stuff, okay? Pressing Z will remove one prop after the other. It will undo anything. Even if you weld something together, it'll undo the weld. What's unfortunate though, let's spawn in a whole bunch more of these, okay? Let's say I want to get rid of this guy, but keep everything else. Good luck. You can't. So then, I usually just throw stuff away physically. But, what you can sometimes do is if you've welded two objects together, like let's say a couch and chair. Now they are together. If let's say you also put, let's say you also weld these two. Now let's say you want to get rid of this weld, but not this weld. Luckily, you can do that. Go to an object and press R, and in this case, it looks like it unwelded this object from these two. The reason those two fell was because I picked up the whole group by this couch. So these two are still good, but see how I picked it up by this one? I didn't pick it up by this one, which means when we unweld it, this one falls. But yeah, so let's actually, one more thing. Objects do have durability, so as you can see, they will break. Well, most objects do, but stuff like, I don't know, maybe that's not going to break. That's a hollow steel rod, so that's not going to break. And if you find a way to break it, let me know, because you pretty much can't. So let's start with building our car. You can pick any object in the spawn list that you pretty much want to start with. I'm just going to start with this. Let's actually make it a little bit smaller. Okay, now let's start with the wheels. Wheels are the easiest. We're going to make forward up arrow, reverse down arrow, okay? I'm going to put, there's multiple wheels, by the way. I believe the stock wheel is, there's a lot of them. I actually don't even know what the stock one is. But anyways, let's go back to wheel. We're going to put one right on the corner. Now you see how there's arrows going with that? I'm going to go to this. If you press E, you can change which way they go. So we're going to have them going this way. Let's go back to wheel. Luckily it was going that way when we started, I think. Yep. But now this side, see, this side's going to be backwards. So now on this side we actually have to change it. Ooh, actually wait. Let's undo a bit of that first. We can put this one on though. There we go. It's kind of hard to see with those tires. But let's just test them out. So I press the up arrow and they're spinning. Kind of did that weird optical illusion where they looked like they were going backwards. Are those still going, and why? Okay, just tap them once for a second. Anyways, you can also adjust the torque with it. But we won't be messing around with that. We're just going to leave it. I think the stock is like, I think it's 1,000 or something. I'm just going to max them out because the wheels are not very strong when you're dealing with steel. So now, as the back part of our car, we are going to spawn in a, maybe something like this. So we're just going to put it up against this and right click. There we go. Now we're going to grab the weld tool. The force meter, I haven't messed around with that very much. That's kind of dumb. Personally, I think a weld should never break, although, you know, obviously it does in real life, but I'm just going to set that to 0 so it never breaks. Weld stuff together. I don't believe it really matters which way you weld it. I heard someone say you just need to weld the objects like once, but I always weld them more than once just because I feel like it, but let's do that. Freeze that, unfreeze that, there we go. Okay, let's go back to a wheel. And this side. And undo it. There we go. Now, we're not going to test out our car yet, because we need somewhere to sit while we're doing that. So, if you remember from episode 1, in vehicles, there is chairs. Let's spawn in the airboat seat, because you see how fast it is to get into the airboat seat? Whereas if we spawn in, like, a big office chair, big office chair isn't that bad. Car seat, see, that's a lot slower. Jump seat, I think that's not too bad. Wooden chair, I think, is not too bad. Office chair, once again. I just go with, let's go with car seat. Bleh. Airboat is the easiest. You can also look in the shadow of the object to see if it's kind of horizontally straight with the, or parallel with the vehicle. It's kind of hard to see sometimes. That's why I freeze objects in place periodically. There we go. So now, we have a car that will stay in place. Now, before we do any more testing on it, let's grab the duplicator and right-click our design. Okay. So now, when you have the duplicator and you've right-clicked it, you can then left-click and it will duplicate it again, just in case something goes bad. So we're not gonna do that, because if we press the forward arrow, that one's staying stationary, but that other one will also move. So that's why I don't usually spawn down 2. But you can get the one car, which you've right-clicked, then go to show shaved duplications, okay? And it will show you all of the, there we go, my dupes. So I've been messing around with other stuff, as you can see, but you can go save dupe, and now it needs to be uploaded, so I just go to my uploads, and then I go back, and there it is. We can click deploy, and place it down. Now you might be thinking, why not just always have it on the duplicator? Why need to save it? Because when you close a map or reopen a map, it will get rid of whatever was on your duplicator. So that's why you need to do that. But now we need some turning. Well, let's just try to use this right now. We're drifting to the... What's actually... What is going on here? Oh yeah, these tires I had a problem with. Maybe these tires aren't the best idea. Oh, no. You know what it is? One of these isn't going straight. That's what it is. That looks okay. That looks okay. And this one looks fine. Oops. This one does not look good. So let's turn it the other way. That seems good now. Let's put those there. There we go, that's better. I don't know why those tires glitched out like that. They do that occasionally, but I found it's always with this exact tire. I've used other tires and they work a little bit better. Doesn't seem to be the most stable, does it? Well, whatever. Let's just work with it. Let's work with it. Okay, so not the best design. I don't like these tires. Don't use them. I would use maybe something like, ooh, I don't know. Maybe those tires, or those are too big. Those ones, you could use those. If I undo stuff, it's going to start getting rid of the... I think it's going to be worth it, though. Okay. Just very quickly. Let's very quickly remake all of this. That one didn't go down very nicely. There. Get the weld tool again. Go back to the wheel. Yeah, these tires are much less, not very supportive. And they seem to be going on their own. I'm not even touching anything. That's awesome. I'm gonna be back. Give me a second. So guys, I just decided to spawn in one of my first cars that I built here. So those are the stock tires. Okay. Use these tires. These ones are the best, and they always work. Are these close enough? These are them. So use these ones beside the wooden thing. Okay. So this is basically, so once I have the car, what I do, once it's in a working order, I go to thruster. It's basically like a rocket, as it says in the top left corner. A rocket type thing that can push forwards and backwards. So, you set which arrows you want to put them to. And then, you know, you can put, I don't know, let's spawn in a bathtub. Put a thruster on the back, and now we'll push them. Now that was obviously a very weak thruster. Even though all the thrusters I have set to 10,000 right now, if we put on this thruster, which looks like a air tank, obviously quite a bit more powerful. But yeah, grab the smallest one, which is this little pop can thing. Now, if you look, I have one on each side. So what I've done is I've set one to left arrow, right arrow, and then I place it down on this side, and then I reverse that, and you will see why, and then I place it on the other side. So then, as I'm steering, I can use left and right arrow. This is a very crude way of doing it, but I can steer left to right. And then I just bound these thrusters at the back to forward arrows. So when I go forward, the tires spin, and these also go. Now this isn't the most powerful thruster. The most powerful one is actually this one, which is overkill. What do I have that bound to? Let's go reverse. Yeah. Yeah, we're not going to get into that one just yet. So once you have your car made, the thrusters, by the way, they don't have to weld them on. When you place them on an object, they are basically welded onto them. But if I unweld an object and there's thrusters on them, the thrusters will also fall off with it. So let's get in our car. And now, I can go forward. See? I can steer left to right. And I can go in reverse. So now we have a car that you can drive around. Let's head over to this little village thing. Here we go, see? Totally functional. But that, you know, not too exciting. Let's go to my dupes, the ones that I have made. Let's see. Believe, is this the last? No, not that one. Here we go. This one works. Now let's go ahead and get into our plane. Yes, it's a jet. Forgot to mention that part. As you can see, I've added wings, which do absolutely nothing. The wings do nothing except house our thrusters for turning. See, I've got, actually, we're missing a thruster on this side, but whatever. Let's actually spawn in a later model. There we go. This model can't turn side to side, like, as I mean side to side, it's, you'll see what I mean. Tilt. There's the word. So let's go ahead and get in. Oh yeah, this one I duplicated it with everything frozen. Now I have a thruster underneath the front here, well, several actually, bound to control the right control. So when I activate that, it pushes up, and that's my basically my like lift off. So I can go forward, and then I can lift off. And I can sort of fly, but as you can see, this one does not fly the greatest because I can't tilt. I can only turn, which isn't the most useful. So let's go ahead and spawn back in our previous one, which this one, for some reason this wing doesn't have the turning one or the tilting one. See, it should have both of those. So this won't work as good as it could, but it should still sort of work. Let's take off, and now I have the function to turn each way. Let's come back around. So the only problem with using control buttons and Alt is that, well, obviously, my takeoff button is the right control, and my tilting button to the left is my left control. So you can't press control button, like you can't press both control buttons at the same time in Windows. So that conflicts, so which means if I'm trying to lift off, I also can't tilt to the left. But that's going to end off episode 2. I will see you guys in episode 3. Episode 3, I'm not quite sure what we will cover, but it will be probably like no collide and hoverball and dynamite or something. I don't know. Okay, see you then.